Hello everyone, and welcome back again with Hey Flutter Coding Challenge live stream. So, as we have seen the success of our first live stream, first coding challenge live stream, where you all have participated, and we saw a lot of submissions from you guys. So we are planning to do it like every month. So every month we are going to have these coding challenge live streams where you guys can participate, and obviously you can win the rewards and the recognitions from Hey Flutter. So all right, so now we can move to the next slide. So in this live stream, basically we are going to first of all introduce the new coding challenge, and then we are going to announce the winners of the first coding challenge. And after that, we will be going to have some rewards and recognition for you guys. And at the end, we are going to have the Q&A session where we will answer your most exciting questions. So yeah, we can move to the next slide. And before that, before introducing the new coding challenge, you guys can join our WhatsApp community because we are announcing uh, more information about these challenges, about other stuff, about our new videos in this WhatsApp community. So you guys can join this WhatsApp community to get updated with all the Flutter related content and about these kind of live streams. So, all right, that's about it. So now let's move to the new coding challenge. So this time we came up with the new coding challenge, where we will be where you guys can develop this weather app. So this is be going to be a weather app where you guys can develop a kind of app where you just need to implement some weather APIs, and you have to develop some screens. So let's move to the next slide. So basically the rewards will be the same. You will get the shout out from Hey Flutter channel, and we will share your GitHub profile in our Hey Flutter channel so that you guys will be recognized in overall in our Flutter community. And the last but not the least, you will also get the feedback from our experts, from Johannes itself. So this is again going to be a really exciting thing for you guys. So yeah, that's about the rewards. Now we can move to the next slide. Now, the question is how to participate. So, this link we are going to post this link in the chat as well. So, you guys can fill out this form. In this form, basically, you can submit your name, you can submit your profile picture as well as the repository. This repository needs to be a public repository because last time we saw a lot of participants have submitted the private repository, and because of that we were not able to see your code. But this time I would request you all to have the public repository so that we can review your project. So whenever you finish, yeah, this is the form here where you can see all the information. You can enter your email. You'll also see we this time we are giving this Figma file, because last time we saw you a lot of people were worried about the assets, but now you guys can directly download the assets from this Figma file, and also see the dimensions, also see how far all the things, how far the widgets are. You can see all the things in this Figma file. Then you can enter your name, and after that make sure to have it public so that we can review your code. And lastly, you can also have your profile picture so that we can give you a shout out of if you got the chance to be a winner. So yeah, whenever you finish it, you need to just submit it. The deadline for this coding challenge is 27th of November. So almost you have around 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks you can finish your challenge and then directly submit it. So now we can move to the next slide. So basically here you will be having like only two screens with different things. So first screen, if you see here, we have some weather information with the current date, and some, if you see, there is some forecast as well. So basically there will be going to be a two screens. Let's move to the next slide. So the first screen will be the home screen, where your city's temperature or city's weather will be shown. And in the same screen, there will be some forecast for upcoming days as well. And this city may be Paris, London, or depending upon whatever you have added in your app. But basically, this temperature should be depending on the city, or the weather should be depending on the city. So now we also have another screen, which is the location screens. Here you guys can add multiple cities, and you just need to implement this functionality as well. The main thing here in this app is not only about the designs, but you should also implement the weather API. And there is one, I guess, open source weather API. You need to integrate that. That's also the important thing that you need to have in this challenge. And also you can integrate some more functionalities like animations and some state management from your site. That will be great and will be a huge plus, by the way. So there are only these two screens. For when the user clicks on different city, it will show the home screen and then show the weather of that city. So this is all about the new coding challenge. And now I guess we can move to the next screen. So that's again like how you participate. We are going to like post this link in the chat as well. And the deadline is 27th November, so you guys make sure to submit your code before that. So yeah, that's about it. Now I guess we can move to the next slide. Also, like, if you guys have any question related to this coding challenge, you guys can drop your question in the chat. We will definitely look your questions at the end and we'll try to answer. So yeah, that's about the coding challenge. And now over to you, Johannes.
Yes. Hello, everyone. First of all, welcome to this live stream. And now comes a really interesting part, because we look at the winners of the last coding challenge, the planned app UI. And we will not only look at these things, what they have created, we will also give like feedback, what to do better with the Flutter source code, what can be improved, what is good, what is not so good. And this will be like really helpful, because we looked at different things that many people make maybe wrong in their Flutter projects, even like the winners, because there were like a lot of people that submitted their projects. We have just chosen like 3 winners right now. And even from the best ones, you can still learn a lot what to do better. And first of all, I would like, before we go into like showing the code and talking more about what to do better, I want to show you the winners itself. So maybe we start with the first winner, which is Antoine, I guess it's his name. And he has created like this blend app UI. And I think it's pretty cool what he has created. I will just play it. Maybe I will play it in half the speed, because he has created a lot of animations and the recording doesn't show it so good. So here, for example, this is like the onboarding screen. As you can see, if you just tap on this button, there's always like an animation. Everything looks here also really great with the animations navigating to the next screen. Yeah, you can then sign up. Let's see. Yeah, you can click sign up. Everything is here animated, every screen, which is pretty cool. Yeah, like most submissions even have like overflow issues. So even the best ones have overflow issues. So I guess this is like a typical issue that we see in like multiple submissions. Here again, he has even done some more. You can choose between dark mode, light mode, which is also pretty cool. So I have chosen right now dark mode. And yeah, now even here some animation again. He has implemented everything with Firebase, so you can sign up with Google and also anonymous one. Yeah, I think on his device everything works fine. Here on this screen on my phone it didn't work fine, so there are like some overflows. I think that's really typical that a lot of people make wrong because they don't try it out on different phones, just on their phone, and think then it looks good on every phone, but that's not the case in most cases. And yeah, as you can see, he has done all the UI and always these cool hero animations, which have like a lot of people done. Also here at the bottom, if you see, he is sliding this inside, which is also cool, this bottom sheet here. Yeah, I think that's mainly about the first one. Yeah, he has also created here a button to actually create with Firebase a new plant. You can upload your image and so on. I have not now recorded everything. And he has also done something with the profile because he has implemented like the whole Firebase solution for this one. By the way, first of all, before we start with this, and I show you also the code, you can always go here to this URL. We will later also share it in the chat. And here you can check out this project that he has created. You can check out his source code. And also, of course, that's really important. Maybe go back here to the normal slides. Where is this? The next one. Yeah, you can also go to his repository and you can start then his repository, give him some recognition for his good work. And of course, you can also go to his GitHub profile, so Antoine GTR, I guess, and you can follow him. Maybe he has some good work in the future as well. I think I go ahead right now with all the winners so that we can look at them, and later I will share then some code improvements at the end. So the second winner is basically this Marco Bavagnoli, and yeah, we can also look at what he has created. So I have also recorded here like a little video. Okay, I think it's not showing up here. So let's go here. So everyone has created a bit a different design, which is really interesting. So I will also play it here up, this video. So he has also done some cool animations when sliding to the next page, which looks cool. And yeah, the buttons to go to the next slides. Here again, some overflows. Like I said, a lot of people have maybe tested it only on their device, but not on other devices. Yeah, here like the heart animation, which is okay. Here, he has done something really cool. What I feel is looks pretty cool. Here at the bottom, if you can see, there's like this effect. I think it's a shader effect, where you see here this animation at the bottom. So this is pretty cool. And of course, he has also created the card and some more things, but most of them have here overflow issues. Yeah, I really like this effect. This is pretty cool, and you can also check it out. Here is his repository. We will also share this link with you. You can also go to this link and check out the whole code. So let's go here as well. Yeah, here you can check out the whole Flutter app that he has created that you right now saw. And again, the same thing for him. If you like his project, you can also start, go to his GitHub, start this repository, and as well also follow Marco Bavagnoli if you want to see more work of him in the future. And yeah, let's also go with the last one that we have chosen as our winner. This is Mikas Tekalin, if it's correct. Yeah, and I will also show you here the third video. And after this, we will look at the source code in detail, and I will share some tips what to do better. Okay, yeah, I think on his device it worked again here correctly. At the bottom, again, some overflow. Like all the examples had problems with overflow issues. So I think we need to make maybe a video in the future about overflow issues specifically, because even like the best submissions have done this incorrectly. They are not testing it on different devices. So yeah. Okay, here they here again some overflow issues, but the design in general looks like really good. He has even implemented some other functionality, like you can go to another screen. There's a hero animation again. You can add things to the card. You can add some things here to the card. You can change it by plus minus. Also, if you back navigate again, there's this cool animation, the hero animation. and you can add other things to the card. So this all works. And I think he has also implemented the order one. Yeah, you can also order. So he has also implemented this one. It goes to a separate link where you can then buy this thing as well. And yeah, if you also want to see this code, you can also go to this link, and you can also check out this source code. So here again, go to this link, check out the source code itself, this whole Flutter app, download it, test it out, and play around with the code itself. And yeah, for him as well, if you like his project, then go to his GitHub page, give it a star, give him some recognition for what he did. And as well as you can also go to his GitHub account Melos, and you can follow him and yeah, then see what he has maybe doing in the future. Okay, before we now move on, I think we go first of all with the first project. So I have written down some feedback that I would give to this project. So let's see if I find it right now. Here it is. Okay, so I have downloaded this project, and now we can go over some things that can be done better in this project. So first of all, we go to the services, and here we can go into the planned service. So he has created basically everything related also with Firestore. He has like implemented different functionality like deleting, liking, and so on. And I want to point here one thing out. So he uses, for example, this document snapshot directly, returns it here in this method. And this is pretty not so good. I saw it in many places, also in other projects, that they do this. They return like a document snapshot. And if you go then here to the place where it is implemented, you will quickly see that there's like a lot of code that he writes, he needs to write this code here, doesn't look so good. Also, if you go down here, like a lot of code he writes basically, which is not so great readable for other people, as well as here. There's a lot of things that don't look so great. And instead of doing this, it's always better to return here something else, like directly the model. So what do we want to return here, for example, is always from your APIs, you want to return a model, not like a map or something, or a snapshot. Usually you return a model. And then you can instead do here directly the mapping. So I guess it will be like this, document data, and then we can take probably this function here that he has created and to list, and then we return it like this. Here also you don't need to write this code, it's not necessary. And also here, this kind of long things, you usually don't need to write every time all the types. I have done like a whole separate course for it. Maybe I shared this later with you. So usually you can write it in short form. He will now complain because he has done here something in the analyze option file, which is called always specify types. You can just deactivate it because usually you should not always specify the types, especially if it is local, like inside of methods and so on. You should not specify every time the type because it is not readable. If you want to know the type, you can always hover over it and then you still see the type. So it is not necessary to just now take here this whole and put it here inside because it's just too much code that you need to read. Instead, you can always keep it short, and all the local variables you can write with final or const or var, and then it is easier. Okay, as you can see, this code now becomes here easier to read. It returns a planned model instead of a map string, dynamic, or whatever you will return there, or snapshot. And also now here, everything becomes easier. So here you can just place, instead of this list dynamic, you can directly place here the planned model inside. I need to import it, I guess. And also here below, usually you don't want this here as well. This is so much unreadable code. Instead, just use a planned model. yeah, here usually you don't need to define the types, so you can keep it shorter. That's even like discouraged by the Flutter community guidelines, that you write here this long types. It's not necessary. You can just remove it and it still works. And if you hover over it, you still see the type. So here you see still the type. So you don't need to write it every time. It's just blowing up your code, makes it unreadable. And if you want to know the type, then you can always hover over it and you see it's a build context. But this is only what you do here for anonymous functions. In this case, you should not remove everywhere the type. So sometimes the type is really important. If you set here the type and so on, that's really important. But inside of anonymous functions, he automatically knows that this is of type async snapshot list planned model. So you don't need to define it yourself. Dart is already clever enough to know this. And here, the same thing, you don't need to define all these things. You can keep everything shorter. I would also add here exclamation mark, then you don't need all of this unnecessary things at the end. Again, you can get rid of all of this data, make it shorter, and then the whole code becomes more readable. And yeah, I think this one is also not needed. So there's like a lot of code that you can remove and can make your code better like this. Even this is not needed anymore. You can just place the plan directly here inside. So this was now a quick thing, one thing, what you can do better in this project. So usually in all, you can always use like plant models, return it directly instead of returning like map string dynamic or some documents, which will blow up your code a lot, and you can just shorten this code. Okay, that's like the first thing I wanted to point out about this project. Another thing I wanted to point out is the things about how he is naming his files. So here he is using like a dot in his files, but usually you should use like the snake case notation. So which means you write everything in lowercase, all the letters in lowercase, but you should not use here dots or something. Usually use an underscore to differentiate between two words. So this is a word and this is a word. And instead of having here like a space or something, you always have an underscore. And this is the annotation which is encouraged by the Flutter community guidelines. So I can also point this out again. Let's maybe look at it. Here, Flutter community effective Dart. We can look at it. So there's like a specific guideline that you should follow, the effective Dart guideline. And this tells like a lot of things, how to write code correctly, what not to do. And there are like a lot of do's, don'ts, what you should prefer, what you should avoid. And you can just have a look over it. There's like a lot of rules that you can find out. And for this, I also like to tell you, if you don't want to read everything about it, you can also go to our website, heyflutter.com. We have here like this 2-hour long course that is helping you how to write better code. You can just check it out. And after these 2 hours, you will learn like really like a lot what you can do better to write better code. Okay, so let's go back to our project. Let's look at some other things. So we have also looked at that we should define here the snake case notation. Services auth, okay. Yeah, here I think he is using for, I don't know where he is using it. Let's see. Auth service. Yeah, we can also go into this file. Here you see there's like a lot of code that he's writing. He's always defining here the type. You don't need to define always the type. You can just remove always the type from the left side, which will be shorter because right now it's a lot of code. I will maybe copy this whole code so that you can later compare it. So I just remove it. You can just write here directly final or const, depending on what it is. You can always remove the type and it will make your code much shorter, even here at the top. And you can still find every time the type out when you hover here over it, you always see the type. So there's nothing that is now, yeah, you don't need to define the type necessarily. You can just go with final or const. And as you can see, the code is now, I guess, more readable because the variables are structured under each other, as you can see. They start always at the same location. It looks really good. And you can easier read this code compared to what we had before. If you have this code, it's like really tough to read. It's not really good structured. You will find it more hard to actually read the code compared to what we had there before. So that's like another tip. Yeah, let's also go into the model class, and I will go here to a model. So he has created this blend model that he uses all over the application. And yeah, I don't want to go here now into every detail, but one detail I want to point out is he has done everything with a question mark, which is then nullable. But usually you don't need to make everything nullable. You can, in most cases, it should not be nullable. By default, it should not be nullable. It should be non-nullable, which means always it should require a value. And for this, you can also basically add then here something required. And then it works again, this model class. So generally, don't make everything nullable, only if it is null, if it can be null. But maybe in most cases, when you create a blend model, this title is not null, I guess. In this use case, I guess every time it will be not nullable. And that's why you should also not mark it every time as null. You only mark it as null if, in case, this can be null at some point. But most times this is not the case. Even here for the user, most times there will be a name already when you create the user model. So here the same thing, you don't need to define all of it most of the time and can instead go with the required case instead. Okay. All right, that's about this one. Yeah. Okay, I've now destroyed a bit the project, I guess. But yeah, in general, this should work. Maybe there are some more things. Yeah, now he's, of course, having here some issues. Let's look again. He has also implemented translations, which is pretty cool. So he has implemented translation to different languages. So the app seems to work in different languages as well. And yeah, some other things. You can just check out the code. And we go, I guess, right now to the second project. By the way, this project has implemented also, I guess, the provider. Let's see up. Yeah, he has used provider. I would not recommend it to implement here the provider. Instead, you can use Riverpod as a package. So this would be much better because even if you go here to the main file, you will see like a lot of code that you need to write here for setting up the providers. Also like the providers, I would move away from this and instead use Riverpod. And yeah, therefore you can just use this package Riverpod and then it's becoming better, your code, I guess. Yeah. And also everything becomes shorter, I feel, with Riverpod because you don't need to define here these multi-providers at the top of your application. You just place one scope around one class and then the whole app works basically. Okay, so that was about this project, I guess. And we can move on to the second project. So let's go to the second one. This is for Marco Bavagnoli. I will also show here the code of his project. And let's also open it up. Yeah, so first of all, I like to go to the, where it is, I think here, the search, and then into the blend card. So for his project, I think he has done a lot of comments. I don't like it so much. He's writing like everywhere comment, basically inside the build method. This is an image, this is a plant name, this is a plant description, everything. So usually I would not prefer to have your comments. Instead, you should write your code like this. So let's imagine this is here an image and you want to point out that this is an image. You can still put it into a new method and call it, for example, build image. Then the code itself reads like you build an image and it's easier to understand instead of writing everywhere a comment above it. And sometimes it's even not necessary, like to write here plant name above, because you already see here that this is a plant name. I mean, here the plant description, you also see it should be readable like this. Maybe you write here instead description for this field, and then you remove the comma maybe also, then it looks like this, and there needs no comment to be done for each of these things. Here, the same thing, if you want to name something like this, what this is doing, you can still create a method or something instead of a comment, so you can place it into a method, you can call it like build price, or whatever you want to name it, and then it is also still readable. You don't need like specifically a comment for this. Okay, then let's go to the next thing. Yeah, for his project, I felt he had a bad structure for how he structured his files. So here he has like this UI folder, and inside the UI folder he has some, it seems like he has both combined, like widgets and pages or screens. And even here outside of it, outside of the UI folder, he has placed like the details page, he has placed the onboarding screen, I guess it is, the search page, and so on. So instead of creating here one UI folder and put all your UI code inside, I would prefer, or like I would suggest that you have two folders, like one for pages or for screens that you name screens or pages, and another one for widgets. And then you can place like all the different pages, for example, I think details page, onboardings page, search page, you can all move into the pages folder. And here into the widgets, you can maybe add the other things. I guess this is a normal widget. This is not like a page or something. If it is a normal widget, you can just place it into the widget folder. And yeah, if you like, you can just place it directly here inside. Or if you say, okay, this belongs, for example, to the search page or whatever, then you create a directory and just place it here inside so that you know, okay, this belongs to the search page, basically the page that I have created here. Here for the notation, you should usually also say like this is a search page directly. And yeah, it should look like this, basically, that the name search page and search page is here similar. So if you name it here search page, then also name your file search page. And here the same, if you, this is probably an onboarding screen, so also make sure to name it like this. I will just name it onboarding page, and the file I would also name onboarding page in this case, so that you know about it. And the same thing for the details here, it is called details page, so also name this one details page, so that from the outside, if you just read the file name, you can already know this is basically your page, and here you can later structure your widgets inside. Okay, I think that's mainly about the second project that I wanted to point out. Of course, there's always more things to point out, but I just want to keep it short and give you some quick tips that you can learn what you can implement in your projects. And yeah, let's also move to the third project. Maybe I still find it. Let's see. Okay, so again, you can check out the second project from Marco Bavagnoli. And now let's go to the third one. Here is from Mikas Tekalainen. And yeah, I also have downloaded his source code, and we can check out what we can here do. So first of all, I like to go to the helper, to the media query. So of course, he has done also like a lot of things not good, but I want to point only some things out that we have not looked at in the other projects already. So here he has created two methods, and as you can see, these methods are returning basically nothing. Okay, they return, of course, this height, but they have not defined the return type. So usually you should define for each of your methods like a return type. In this case, if you hover over the height, you will see this is of kind double, and therefore you should also return here a double. That's all methods should return something. If they don't return anything, then you just return void or future void or something like this. But if you return something, you should also specify it. In case you don't do this, then Dart will return here dynamic. So here is returned dynamic, and this can lead to problems. So let's create here a new method right now. Okay, it's not returning anything. That's also wrong, of course. And let's just call it. Okay, I don't have right now the context here, but okay, let's place here the context maybe inside. Just I don't know what he has right now. The type of the okay, I think maybe the name might be wrong, so let's change the name. And here you can basically place it even into a string, whatever. He will not complain about it, even if we know, okay, this is of type double. So he will even complain. He will not complain. He will simply crash at runtime because you tried to put this double into a string variable. And that's why you should always define here for your method what return type it is. So right now, if you say this is a double, then it will also complain here about it. As well as if you have later, let's say, some more complicated code, you return like this and this, so you have if else, and here you could even return a string or whatever. He will not complain about it. So in one case you return a string, in the other case you return a boolean. No, not a boolean, a double, I mean. So you could do here in this case both if you are not specifying the type, and it's not really type safe, even if you put here false, of course, inside. He will not care. He could even put it into a double inside. So that's really not good. Therefore, always make sure to return here something. Always specify the return type. And now you can see as the code Dart will help you and will even complain that this is not possible. You need to return a double. And yeah, let's return here a double. And even if we have here true, he will not complain anymore because in both cases we return double. So it's really helpful to specify the return type because the compiler will just help you in case you do something wrong. Otherwise, the compiler will not help you with this. And yeah, I think there will be like one more thing I wanted to point out in this project here. If you go to the model class of this project, here you see again, of course, they use a lot of question marks, so you can get rid of them, but that's not what I want to point out. Here in line 28, he is basically defining like a plant list, and he works a lot with map string dynamic. I saw this like really often that people work with this map string dynamic, and I would suggest you in all cases to change the type so that you create your own model, which is, for example, called plant or something, and then you return here like a list of plant directly instead of working in your whole code with this map string dynamic, which is really problematic because let's look at how he basically writes here his code. He's then always hard coding all these values. He is accessing it, which is not type safe. So he could here write anything inside and then his application will crash. Or at the other side where he has implemented this list, he could also change here accidentally something, and then he needs to go over his whole application and change this everywhere where he is using it. So he needs to make sure that this is then right everywhere where he is using it, and therefore you should not do this whole thing. You should just define directly a model, and if you define a model that is having then basically all the different fields, so let's say I go now really simple, I just go in with name and price, and I create here now a new list quickly of plants, or I call it now all plants. So yeah, I think he has created here another one. Okay, I don't want to use this one right now. Okay, we could also use this, but I want to keep it really simple, this application. Let me go back. So yeah, we could define here directly the plant, we can give it a name. So I give it the same name, give it also any type. Let's also create a second one with a different price. And now wherever you access this, you can, let's go back to the code where he was accessing this. Yeah, he doesn't need to confirm to convert here everything anymore. He can just loop over it. So let's loop over our old plans, and he can directly, don't need to do this whole code anymore because he has already access to this plant. He can just get the index, can access the plant, and here he can then directly access the name and the price, because he uses here directly a model and he doesn't need to access this anymore with this hard-coded values, which can change and which is not really good. If you do it like this, always make sure that you work with models, because then the compiler is helping you in case you rename it. So let's say I go here to this place, I give it a different name. So let's call it new name. If I change it here in this place, the compiler will automatically also say, okay, I want to change it in all places. So if I go here back to this other place where I use this new name, it will also automatically change. And that's why you should always use models instead of working with this other way of what he had here before, I think map string dynamic or something. This is not good. That's not what you should do. Okay, so I think that were like some quick tips about all the projects. I hope you learned something along the way. And I can again encourage you, if you want to learn more about writing good Flutter code, then just go to heyflutter.com. Here is like a free course, which is for 2 hours free, and you can learn how to write really good Flutter code. So just check this course out, and you will learn how to write really clean Flutter code. And of course, you can also apply to our training if you want to learn much more about how to become a better Flutter developer. We have like a lot of different courses, over 30 courses about Flutter and how you become better with everything like Dart, Flutter, Firebase, databases, everything. So you can also apply to this training. Okay, so that's about this part. I think we can now move on. Yeah, first of all, I think, yeah, if you have any questions, we can look at it. If you had any questions about the coding challenge itself or any other questions. So maybe I go here right now to the live stream to see if there are any questions. You can still ask questions. And I will share my screen shortly. Mute. Okay, so here's the screen. There are some people that probably write. I don't like getx. Okay, let's maybe start here at the beginning. Do you see any good questions, Kamlesh, from your side? We can also talk together about it.
Yes, there are few questions.
Okay.
Yeah, is it good idea to move your screen logic to the state management? There is one question from Hemant Singh.
Okay, maybe we find it. Does it work? Is it good? Yeah, is it a good idea to move your screen logic to a state management qubit, for example, text editing controllers? Yeah, everything that is related to Flutter you usually keep in the outside of your state management, I would say. I mean, some people maybe do put it also in the state management, but usually what we always do is we create a text editing controller. We create our separate text widget that just has this text editing controller one time inside, and we have basically created a wrapper around the normal text field widget, and then you don't need to work anymore with this text editing controller. You can just work directly with strings, and if you change the string, then the text field will also change, and so on. So if you really are good, then you can just write a wrapper around your text field, and then you don't need to work with these text editing controllers directly anymore because you can just work with strings and so on in your state management. And then you also don't need to place these into your state management anymore. But I think a lot of people will use the text editing controller, and if you do, I would say you can also place it into your widget class directly. That would also work. Or you can also place it in your state. But preferably, we don't work with this. We never use like text editing controller. We have just a wrapper around it, and then we work only with strings directly in our state management. And if this string is changed, then the text field is also changed. Okay. Some other questions you saw, Kamlesh?
Yes. So right below this question, there is another question.
Yeah.
Especially working with Riverpod, uh, is a good practice to create an own file-like provider to store all the providers, or should I go to separate them like API data, etc.?
Um, yeah, first of all, it's not good to have just one file for all the providers. Usually you have like multiple files for each provider. So for example, you have multiple screens in your app, like home screen, profile screen, whatever. For each one, you create a provider, or you can also create multiple providers for each screen, and you can then split it apart. But usually you don't put all your logic into one place. And yeah, you should definitely separate everything into like different folders, API, data, whatever you have, repositories, all the things you put into different places. So you should always separate your whole code so that you have only a single responsibility in each of the folders. One folder is for the pages, another one for the widgets, another one for the APIs, another one for utility classes, and so on. Okay. Are there also like some questions about the challenge itself, or all of them have like random questions right now?
Yeah, these are the random questions about the code. They are
Yeah.
not having any question about the challenge itself.
Okay.
Yeah, when
Make
will be
it
the next
clear.
challenge? There is one question like when will be the next challenge? Uh,
Yeah. First
so
of all, we do this challenge, and then after this,
yeah,
yeah. Right now, you can submit until 27th of November, right, Kamlesh?
yes,
And
yes,
then after we have got a lot of submissions for this new challenge, then we will first of all check the submissions, and then we create in next month maybe a new live stream about the last submissions, and then we also create a new coding light coding challenge. Yeah, when will be the next challenge? This was the question, I guess. So first of all, we do our right now our challenge, and then after we have finished
yeah,
it, start the next one. Okay.
yes,
How to test our skills as a Flutter developer? I think you can participate in this challenge and see if you win. If you win, then you know that you are really good.
yes,
Um,
yes,
or, no, that's not always the case. Of course, if you also don't win, you still win because you practice. That's the most important thing. So always make sure that you practice. Try out to do some projects what you never did before, and just learn and learn. Watch a lot of videos, watch a lot of courses, and yeah. And inside of a coding challenge, you can test your knowledge because you can compare your project later to other projects that were now also open right now. You can look at what they have created, and then you can see, can learn from them, and you can basically test your knowledge because you have created this application on yourself. And then after the submission, you can see all the other projects, and then you can compare it and can see the difference and where you can still learn.
yes, 100%. There is another question from ariba.dev. What things we have to add in tech in this challenge? UI, API? Yes, obviously there is UI, which we have already shared the Figma link, and the form itself. Also the API, you should use the open source weather API. You could also use state management, Firebase, animations. There are a lot of things that you can do. So yeah, that's about this question.
Yes. Okay. I mean, there are like a lot of questions. So where do I find the challenges? I see no links in the description. Yeah, I think we can share it.
Yes. So you guys can see maybe later in the description as well. But right now I have pinned this form. So you guys can check the pinned comment.
Yeah, here
This
at the
is
top.
right now, yes, this is right now the current challenge that is right now live, and you guys can participate. And we will also like post these links in the description or in the comments later. So you guys can also check out from there.
Yeah, I like this comment here. This is absurd. All three applications with errors. Yeah, Victor, please submit next time your project, and we will see that you are not doing anything with errors. And if we see the name Victor, we will definitely check everything out. If there's any problem with any device, tablet, and
Yes.
all right, I think he removed it already. No, but in general, of course, there will be always issues, problems, and that's totally fine. You still learn, you still didn't check it out on all different device screens and so on. It can happen. But now you know, okay, maybe you should also try it out on different devices, see how it looks there, that you see that your app is also working correctly on other screen resolutions, not your screen resolution that you have on your normal screen resolution. Okay. Uh, yeah, I think, are there any other questions that we should answer? I think they.
Um, yeah, I guess we already answered most of them.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
I guess there is no more questions. Yeah, so we will be like really exciting to see your submissions, guys. So maybe in this challenge, maybe we will receive a lot of submissions, and then definitely we will have these kind of coding challenges every month. So it will be a huge opportunity for you guys as well.
Yes, and we will always give like feedback, at least for the some submissions. We cannot do it for all of them because there are so many. We cannot give feedback, unfortunately, for all of them. Then it would be like a 24-hour live stream. Maybe we do like a special one time, but yeah, usually we
Yeah.
will like review some of them, give some tips that are really helpful for everyone, that they learn something. And that's what we also do for the next coding challenge. So if you submit your project, we will also check out your code and give some feedback. If you are the best one, definitely we will check it out, give some feedback what you still can do better, even if you are already really good.
Yes, 100%. And do not forget to make your repositories public. Otherwise, we
Yes,
will not be able to see your code and your good work that you have maybe done.
yes, correct. Okay, all right. I think that's basically it for this live stream. Let's also point this again out. So what he just mentioned, because we had like, I guess, half of the submissions they have probably created something, but we didn't see it because they forget to make it public. So if you make your repository private, we cannot access it, we cannot check it out. Therefore, make
Yeah.
sure to make it public so that we can see it, and then we can also include you into this challenge. Otherwise, it's not possible for us to see it. That's really important because I guess half of the submissions were private, which is not really good. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so again, we point out, so next time you know about it. And yeah, otherwise, thank you very much for attending this live stream. And I hope that you can create the new coding UI challenge, that you create this new weather app. You can integrate there everything that you like. So if you are more advanced, you can implement more APIs, you can do more animations, whatever you like, to make it
Yeah.
more advanced. And we will look at all of this code and we'll review it and give some feedback. And then we are really happy to see like what you will create for the next coding challenge.
Yes. 100%.
Okay, all right. Then thank you very much for attending this live stream and have a great day.